26 points down for the Nifty. Let's welcome in a guest on power now. Sabyasachi Majumdar, Senior Vice President and Group Head Corporate Ratings at ICRA Limited is now with us. Sir, Discom dues have become half. Is this temporary or do you think there is a structural change in this sector?
So basically, to answer this question, definitely it's a very positive development that 1 lakh crore line of payment has been made available to the Discoms. A large part of that has been utilized also, and that has substantially brought down the overdues by more than half. But I think your apprehension that this could be a one-time or whether it is going to be sustained, I think those apprehensions are very much in place. We have seen such steps in the past which have resulted in a temporary improvement in liquidity and payment track record. But after that, again, things start taking change for the worse. And the basic factor which drives it is that even now there's a very substantial gap between what Discoms earn by way of sale of power and what they spend by way of power purchase and other operating costs. And until those differences are bridged, this is going to be a recurring problem. One of the things, of course, is that the latest guidelines which have been put in place have put in very strict penalty measures. Like if you are overdue for payment, earlier, of course, only the central power sector utilities CPSUs could regulate supplies. But now additional hurdles have been put in that if you are defaulting beyond a certain number of days, you will be prevented from accessing short-term power selling as well as buying power from the short-term markets. So those kind of additional safeguards that are being sought to put into the payment mechanism are definitely positive. But you are right, until the time the fundamental cost competitiveness and being able to cost positive, Discoms are becoming cost neutral at least. This thing will remain a recurring feature.
As far as the entire setup of the power sector is concerned, but the next thing to watch out for is, of course, budget, right? What are your expectations? Because of late we had seen that the focus of the government had shifted to last mile connectivity. There was a lot more focus on distribution and transmission. This year, do you expect it to come back to generation as well?
So right now, as far as the budgetary initiatives are concerned, definitely see right now generation capacity as such is not a constraint. Right now, if you see the thermal power plants are still operating at a PLF of mid 60%. In fact, our projection is about not more than 64 to 65%. Of course, we'll need more capacities to come on stream once the plants get fully utilized, but that's quite some time away. So there's no shortage of generation capacity as such. The main bottlenecks we are facing are in the distribution and the transmission space. So definitely we expect a lot of budgetary measures to incentivize distribution companies to improve their own distribution networks and bringing down their distribution losses. We also expect some measures towards the transmission space because most of the incremental capacities are happening through the renewable energy sources, which are intermittent sources of power.
So generation demand so far has been quite decent with 8 to 10% growth. What are generation growth estimates for the next and for this financial year and the following?
Okay, let's first look at the demand growth, then I'll come to the coal side. So this year, we saw almost a 10% growth in the first 9 months. But if you break down the 10% growth, we saw very high, double teens growth in the first quarter. This was driven mainly by the fact that there was a base effect because the previous first quarter was quite weak, and also this was extremely hot summer, so there was a lot of demands, particularly from the north and west side on the domestic side. That resulted in a very high teen percentage growth. But in the second and third quarter, the demand growth still has been satisfactory, but not in the same proportion. So based on that, we would expect, based on the extrapolating that for the last quarter, we would expect the overall demand growth to be between 8 to 9% for the current financial year.
Okay, Sabyasachi, we'll let you go on that note. Thank you so much for joining us today. But with